Good morning. I would like to welcome all committee members, staff, and guests to the January 27th, 2025 Alderman Norfolk Health and Social Services Advisory Committee meeting. I'd like to remind everyone that our meetings are web streamed. With that, I call the January 27th, 2025 Alderman Norfolk Health and Social Services Advisory Committee meeting to order. First order of business, are there any disclosures of pecuniary interest? Seeing none, are there any additions to the agenda? Okay, seeing none. I need an adoption of the advisory committee meeting minutes. 3.1, Health and Social Services Committee meeting dated October 28th, 2024. May I have a motion to approve the Alderman Norfolk Health and Social Services Advisory Committee meeting minutes from October 28th, 2024 meeting? Can I have a mover? Moved by Member Van Passen, seconded by Member Duthie. All in favor? And that is carried unanimously. Thank you. So we also need a motion, Health and Social Services Advisory Committee, January 9th, 2025. May I have a motion to approve the Alderman Norfolk Health and Social Services Advisory Committee meeting minutes from January 9th, 2025 meeting? A mover? Mayor Bentley, seconded by Member Duthie. All in favor? And that is carried unanimously. Thank you. Update on reports. Staff reports. We have one here under item 5.1, Social Services and Housing. Funding opportunities, last mile funding application, Health and Social Services -25003. This report is being referred to General Manager, Health and Social Services, Sarah Page. Sarah.
Thank you, Chair. The report before you today comes as the announcement from the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing presented a funding opportunity for us to end encampments or respond to encampments in our local area. The funding announcement came out December 13th of 24, and staff worked diligently with the Housing Corporation to ensure that we could apply for some of the funding available. It became available in 3 funding streams to assist in ending encampments, that one of which is the housing benefit top-up, the encampment response, and then what we have applied for is the last mile funding. We, of course, reviewed all of the funding requirements, the project scope, and the timelines with our Housing Corporation, HNHC, in order to assess what funding would be appropriate at this time. We're aware, of course, that long-term affordable housing is a key in ending homelessness and thereby reducing potential encampments. So the last mile funding that we have put forth is support ready to build affordable long-term housing projects. We worked with HNHC to support a business case for the application of funding to go towards the Ramsey Drive project in Dunnville, which has been fully vetted by council and will provide 56 units of affordable housing. A business case was completed in consultation with HNHC to apply for $2.3 million of last mile funding to support quicker completion of this much needed housing in Haldimand. We are aware that there is also a project going on in Delhi. However, we are not at the stage to meet the requirements for the last mile funding, which stated that projects have to be in a ready to build, under construction, or have targeted zoning applications complete. This is 100% provincially funded, and so we will return to this body and council with a report should any funding be received. And with that, I'm available to answer any questions.
Are there any questions for Sarah? Seeing none, thank you, Sarah.
No, I did have a question.
Oh, I'm sorry. We have 2 questions there. Okay, so I'm sorry. Mayor Bentley, go ahead, and then followed up by Councillor Duthie. Go ahead, Mayor Bentley.
Thank you. I know it's hard when we're on this Teams platform to see who's got the hands up, but thank you. So for the 56 units, how many of those units would be able to assist those that are living on the streets? It's going to be hard to determine how many are living on the streets by the time this project is completed, but are there units set aside for those currently living on the street?
Thank you. Through the chair to Mayor Bentley, the number is hard to ascertain. Any affordable housing that we provide in our community, of course, reduces the number of people looking for affordable housing, which would include those that are currently living unsheltered. The 56 units is an expansion, is a great expansion that you know from our original proposal that was put forth. And some of those units are being set aside for more transitional housing, either in consultation and partnership with Women's Services or with our homelessness prevention program across both counties. However, most of the available housing that will be in there is either RGI, rent geared to income, or deeply affordable housing, which is a huge gap in both of our communities.
Thank you.
Member Duthie?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, through you. One of the things that certainly we've talked about before regarding the homeless situation is the lack of day programming. And I'm wondering if that was a consideration for any of these funding envelopes, if it would have qualified in encampment response initiatives, and if any thought was given to some outlets for day programming for these individuals.
Thank you, and through the chair, back to Member Duthie. We are still considering multiple applications. This is the first stream of applications that has come through this project, and through that and the homelessness funding, looking at different opportunities for us to provide relief during the day, especially in these very cold temperature weathers, and more sustainable projects with more permanent shelter opportunities in the future.
So just maybe a follow-up then. Our staff planning to start working on some potential plans or initiatives that, should funding become available, we would be ready to apply for, that might be able to provide that in both Haldeman and Norfolk counties. You're right, it is incredibly cold out now, and I think we could provide additional supports as well if there was day programming more so than can happen just in the overnight warming shelter.
Thank you. Yes, and we continue to look at all opportunities. We are aware that our emergency housing program and local warming centers are not quite at full capacity, so we know that overnight and short-term housing is something where we are operating at a good capacity right now, but may not limit the encampments moving forward. So we are still looking at all opportunities to have better options in the future.
Great, thank you, Sarah. Are there any more questions? Okay, so the recommendation that staff report HSS-25-003 be received as information. Could I have a mover? Moved by Mayor Bentley, seconded by Member Van Passen. All in favor? And that is carried unanimously. Oh. 5.1.2 Child Care Subsidy Cross-Jurisdictional Agreements, Report HSS-25-002. This report being introduced by Jennifer Snell, Program Manager, Children's Services.
Thank you and good morning. Through the chair to the members of the committee, I'm happy to be here to speak to Report HSS-25002. Child Care Fee Subsidy Cross-Jurisdictional Agreements. To provide some context to this report, it is worth identifying our current direction and process under the previous report to Council from 2017. That report allowed us to move forward with cross-jurisdictional letters of understanding with a number of neighboring municipalities. The LOUs act as a reciprocal agreement between CMSMs that facilitate child care fee subsidy approvals where care is accessed at a site within the partnering CMSM's boundaries. The previous report also required the Children's Services team to seek the mayor and clerk's approval for each individual family's cross-jurisdictional fee subsidy approval, meaning that for every family seeking care outside of our borders, the details of which are input into a secondary document and sent with a request for signatures, processed and returned before families can access care outside of our service with the necessary financial assistance required. Since that time, we have established LOUs with the City of Hamilton, Niagara Region, and the City of Brantford. Through this report, we are recommending authorization of a cross-jurisdictional LOU with Oxford County to further support local residents requiring care outside of Haldimand and Norfolk counties, as Oxford was not included in the 2017 report to Council. Furthermore, to streamline our processes, align our practices with the Social Services and Housing Department, and reduce wait times for families awaiting approvals, it is our recommendation that the Director of Social Services and Housing, as the Service System Manager, be granted delegated authority to sign letters of understanding with other CMSMs as required to meet the needs of our local residents who require subsidized childcare outside of our two counties' borders. It is recommended that Children's Services staff be permitted to approve individual cross-jurisdictional fee subsidy applications without the requirement of seeking the mayor and clerk's approval, an authorization process that is not required under provincial legislation, one which increases the time it takes for families to access care with the financial supports they require. As noted in the report, in September of 2023, the province amended OREG 13815 under the Childcare and Early Years Act, requiring CMSMs to make reasonable efforts to work together to support families eligible for fee subsidy to access care outside of their own service area. This amendment was intended to reduce barriers to families seeking fee subsidy outside of their home service area and mandates CMSMs to support this process wherever possible. Authorizing an LOU with Oxford County allows us to continue to increase access to licensed childcare and fee subsidy for families where it best meets their needs of Haldimand and Norfolk families. Granting delegated authority to the Director of Social Services and Housing to sign LOUs for the purposes of cross-jurisdictional fee subsidy approvals will align our processes across the department, streamline our administrative practices, and allow us to serve families with greater effectiveness and efficiency. The elimination of the individual cross-jurisdictional fee subsidy application approval from the mayor and clerk will further support these goals. I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you, sir, or Jennifer. Are there any questions? Any discussion, questions? Okay, seeing none. Thank you, Jennifer. So the recommendation that staff report HSS-25-002, child care fee subsidy cross-jurisdictional agreements be received as information, and that council authorize a letter of understanding with Oxford County for the purpose of supporting child care fee subsidy cross-jurisdictional agreements, and that council authorize the Director of Social Services and Housing or designate via delegated authority to sign letters of understanding with Ontario Consolidated Municipal Services Manager as required to meet the needs of Haldimand County and Norfolk County residents who require subsidized childcare outside of the boundaries of Haldimand County and Norfolk County. And further, that the council permit, pardon me, that council permit Haldimand and Norfolk Children's Services staff to approve child care fee subsidy cross-jurisdictional agreement for individual families as required to meet the needs of Haldimand County and Norfolk County residents. Could I have a mover to get that on the floor, please? Moved by Member Duthie, seconded by Member Van Passen. Thank you. Call the vote. All in favor? That is carried unanimously. Thank you. And is there any other business to be brought forward today? Seeing none. Looks like our next meeting will be Monday, February 24th, 9:30 a.m., 2025. At this time, I'd like to make a motion that we adjourn this meeting. A motion for adjournment. Motion by Member Duthie, second by Mayor Bentley. All in favor? And this meeting is now adjourned at 9:46. Thank you. Thanks everyone for attending.
Thank you.